What's up, folks? You know what's up today? Kevin Samuels and Patrice O'Neal. We're going into an in-depth study, and hopefully, in doing so, we can eradicate some of the beta male tactics, some of the how do you say weaker ways of approaching women, trying to almost do this whole uh, like secretly indoctrinate her kind of thing, almost like propaganda, right? Like trying to get a woman with subversion, right? And instead going right at the heart of the issue and just being honest and true, so there's no chance of misdirection. Because if there is no misdirection, that's a pure relationship, right? So to be able to be confident and comfortable with who you are as a man, and to be able to just say that as it is and not pretend to be a different kind of man. So let's get into it. Gosh, I love these guys so much. It's an honor to share them with you, seriously.
You are you are
That's the very thing that so many people say they want. I want that old school love, that 30, 40, 50-year marriage. Well, that's going to come with a lot of crap. I think it's funny how many people met their whole different side of the family at Big Daddy's funeral. Because Big Mama knew how to keep her mouth closed because she understood that marriage was not about the headlines. Marriage was about duty, respect, honor, something bigger than yourselves. We're telling women to be selfish at the disregard of everything else, and we wonder why stuff is falling apart. Well, this is
Wow. So again, right at the heart of the matter, we look at marriage as a superficial label. We look at marriage as something that we can identify and, how do you say, associate with, something we can imagine and fantasize about. We don't look at marriage as the nitty gritty, everyday, dealing with the other person. You know what I mean? Like, we don't look at that end of the spectrum. Just like with Instagram and social medias and stuff, we want to portray the best, right? But when it comes to relationship, really, the strongest relationships are made in dealing with the worst. So that's why it's so important, again, that we don't see union as it's been made to or made or portrayed in the media. Like right now, marriage is like a drama fest, and basically, like it empowers the woman to completely sink the ship, sink the family. And it's like, I'm sure there are instances where the woman wasn't treated right. I'm not saying all men treat their women right, but I'm also saying that right now, society and the legal system and how we're being taught in schools and all of this stuff is encouraging women to be more violent, like more like the positive principle, and act like a man in some sense, and just flip the table entirely. So I think that's a little bit what Kevin here is going into. My man Kevin, I love this guy, and he's so dapper too, right? He's like
women can say, I don't want no scrub.
he's like the opposite of me. See, this is how you know I'm not biased. He's dressing so
Women can
well.
say,
He's making me look like a naked dude, naked loser. So yeah, I'm not biased at all. I listen to what the guy has to say.
I don't want no scrubs. People can say, if he can't buy you a Birkin bag, kick him to the curb. But if I just happen to say that you weigh more than men at your height, that's offensive. When did we become that world?
Well, it's offensive for men who like a certain type of woman. Some men are into BBW.
Okay, but real quick, right before we go on, women can be ultra critical and bring out all of the ridiculousness in man to almost render him ridiculous. But we suppress the man and able to tell the woman, like we suppress the ability for the masculine to tell the feminine, you're out of weight, and it's like it's dangerous for you. It's dangerous for the woman in general. It's dangerous for the whole family. It's dangerous for everyone. So saying that perhaps you should look after your health is like so offensive. How dare you fat shame? It's that kind of a thing. And for men, like we're completely trashing the men. You see what I'm saying? It's a completely Homer Simpson's type characterization of men. So yeah, I think things are a little unbalanced, and that's what Kevin is showing here. So the interviewer just said, but yeah, some men are, they like BBWs, they like a big beautiful woman, right? Uh,
W's. There is a whole market for that.
I love how he shrugs. He's like, sure, I suppose.
Really?
Right?
Show me where the high value men, after their high value, go after BBWs as the norm.
That's a good point.
That's the
a good
point. Women can say,
All the so-called most powerful men, when they have like ladies around them, right? Do they pick the biggest, the fat models? No. Like, see, like our world is so out of touch in the sense where man can't just speak his mind. Do you see what I'm saying? That if man can't speak his mind, it will always be misdirection, right? Because then a man is always what's hiding on his mind. So why don't we turn it upside down and make it so that the man has to speak his mind honestly, truthfully, and clearly, right, without pretense. And in doing so, the relationship will be fine, even though you have to confront those, marital frictions, right? Because that's what he was saying with the first video. Is Big Mama knew that this is not just about the title of marriage. This was about honor, respect, duty, virtue, all of these things. So instead of looking at a marriage as a chance for a soap opera, right? You look at it as I need to be there for this man, and not to try to little by little how do you say it, judo him down to the floor, until his life is dependent on your submission, right? Because then we're reversing the roles. And then again, for me, I always like to say it's the man's fault, because again, and you'll hear Patrice say that too, that it's the man's job to say, I've had enough of this submission. I'm not going to be submissive. I'm not going to hurt you, but I'll just go. I'll leave the situation entirely, because again, I'd rather die in the relationship than have a relationship that is unhappy, or have a relationship that is unnatural, where I have to hide who I am and the animal that is a male. You know what I mean? If I have to hide all of these biological inherent inane things, then our relationship can't be built on anything real. So let's see. Did I already play this one? I don't think so.
I'm confident because I know what I have to offer. I walk in feeling like the man, so I act accordingly. Yeah, a woman wants a man looking good and smelling good, and then if you walk up and approach the right way, you darn sure gonna get that number. But here's the thing, I told you I don't get that number. I give them mine, and I tell them when to call me. And if they don't call me when they should, and they decide to call me when they get to it, I'll pick up the phone and say, you were supposed to call me at 2. You need to call me back, and hang up. If they don't call back, I don't want to deal with them. But guess what happened? They call back. Not only is
So what did he just show? A woman respects a man that respects himself. Right? So again, when the man has no respect for himself, the woman doesn't give the man any respect. So he's saying, carry yourself around in such a manner where you deserve respect. And you don't do it trying to get the respect. You just do it because there's no other way to do it. Right? Living well is the most respectful thing you can do. That's it. So carry yourself around in such a way where if you take disrespect, again, you're the cat that says, I'm done with you, and walks away. Or then the dog says, oh shit, you're the real G, sorry, I thought you were one of these other males. I didn't know you actually respected you respected yourself, and that I would have to respect your time, right? So it's these kinds of things. Is men need to know how valuable their attention and time is. And like, let's pull up the Muhammad Ali video. That was such a good one. Just give me a second here, guys. All right, so basically, let me reiterate, you have to be the movement or the act of respect itself. You can't try to act out of trying to get respect. Your action itself must be respectful. You must be respect. You are respect. And then you demand respect without needing to demand it. It's just an inherent thing that you should be treated with respect. Because you're a man capable of immense good and immense damage, right? So here, listen to what one of the boxing legends has to say. And shout out to Sugar Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson too. And yeah, later we're going to go into a video of Mike Tyson going into the relationship of your partner and some other things. That's really deep, so we'll save it for our next video.
Central part of your training, is it running? Is it sparring? Or?
Central part is dodging the nightclubs and the parties and the girls. You want the truth? And being in the bed by yourself at 9 o'clock at night. And if you can get by that, you'll make it. Yeah, that's the truth. Now, I'll tell you the truth. You talk all that running and hitting the bags and jogging and vitamins you won't.
Mr. Ali.
Dodging ladies is the main thing.
Muhammad?
Especially when you're pretty like me.
What's the central part?
Wow, isn't that crazy? It just gives me chills. When the king of boxing says something like that, that dancing poet in the ring, what did the champ say? The champ said, if I'm honest with you, taking away the distractions is number one. All the other positive actions, like hitting the bag, running, whatever, right? Jump ropes, that's number two. Number one is not doing anything else. Number one is reducing all of the excess acts. Because again, if a man's attention is so valuable, there's very few people who can receive it. So there's very few people that are, how do you say, humble enough to respect the time of a high value man, or to listen to him, or to understand him. And in understanding him, bring some different kind of value to it, not trying to work against it. You see what I'm saying? What's harder than castigating someone else's ideas is to take their ideas and grow and go with it. What's harder is listening to someone else's idea and helping it blossom, rather than talking about just your own ideas. So it's these kinds of things, and everyone's laughing at Muhammad, right? But they're laughing because it's the truth. They know deep down that, again, when you're at a point where your attention is so valuable, why give your pearls to swine? It's just so powerful, man. Oh my gosh, Muhammad Ali saying that, like.
A standard that you have for yourself. The people that you'll tick off or something like that, the ones that'll say you're uppity, you're full of yourself, you're arrogant, you're ambitious, you didn't need them around you anyway. You need them out of your world. So they did you a favor by getting away from you. By raising your standard, you're going to actually lose a lot of dead weight. But here's another thing. You'll actually start attracting people like you. Like attracts like. You want to be treated better by your colleagues, by women? Raise your standard.
Man, so this, like, he's basically saying a Gnostic idea right now, which is solve et coagula, right? Is disperse and then coagulate. So in the beginning, you have to tear apart all of the broken house, the foundations, the broken relationships. You have to tear it all down because you can't start on a poor foundation, right? So after the point of everything is nuked, everything is carpet bombed, right? Then you start to build the house. So it's these kinds of things, right? That magnetism is a repulsive, it's an expansive, it pushes out, right? Like Galadriel does with the, you have no power, or that Gandalf does that too, but you know. Anyhow, that magnetic force is a filtering out, it's a pushing, it's a redemptive, life-giving force, and then the dielectric is what pulls us back together. So he just described the singularity with his words, and all he was saying was raise your standards. Raise your standard of someone who you will associate with as a friend. You know, even before a significant other, of course, right?
A woman that's in high demand, her mindset is three main things. She's cooperative, she's smart, and she's agreeable. See, all three of those things must be there. She must be smart, but a woman that's smart and disagreeable is not a woman that's in high demand. She's not a woman that's really wanted. A woman who's smart and cooperative, but not agreeable is kind of useless, because she'll only cooperate when she agrees. A woman who's cooperative and agreeable but not smart is also kind of this blind leading the blind. She must be smart, cooperative, and agreeable. A woman that's in high...
And again, high demand, high value, right? We don't have to expect everyone to be at the top of their game, but we also shouldn't discourage from being the top of your game. Like what this whole fat shaming culture has done, censoring the truth, and so we can't even tell people when they're unhealthy, has done, is made it so that no one is organically incentivized to be smart, cooperative, agreeable, and so on. Because he's basically saying, be yin, be the negative principle, be the softness in my hard man life. And often people think we want a dumb woman. No, maybe she can be looked at as dumb in some regards, but not because she's dumb, just because she's not informed in that subject. In Korea, we have this thing called nunchi, which means she has an ability to perceive that which is implied. That's a smart woman. So he's saying, yeah, what I'm saying is, you know, people think that everyone wants like a dumb blonde girl or something. No, being dumb is not gonna work out in the end. So it's these kinds of things.
I think I really have.
Alrighty, next video. I think this is the last of Kevin. I can bring some more vids next time, but yeah.
The issue is like the type of guys, like they just want a woman that like looks good on their arm. Like,
Yes.
like when you say,
Hold on, listen, let me stop. Yes, that's what we want, because that's who we are. And you, man.
that's the problem I have with dating.
But listen. Listen, you want men not to be men. You want men to think like women. That's not what we value, ma'am. We want a beautiful woman on our arm.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, no, you're the problem.
I'm the problem.
Yes, you're the problem, because I'm telling you what men want. You've experienced what men want, and you've got a problem with it. That's your problem. We're not going to change. You're either going to get on board with it, or you will die alone.
Yeah, he's a little savage there, but you get the idea. You get the idea that women want to change the nature of a man, and then after the man's nature is changed, she doesn't respect him. You see the position most men are at? Oh gosh, that was just so funny. I love how he turns like that. He's like, yes, that's exactly what a man wants, is a woman, a nice looking woman on his arm. And here, let's see. Let me try to look for a video, 1 sec. So here we go with Mr. Tate, just one more time. Only one video for today.
So I am a dumb bitch. How can I keep my husband? I want to keep him happy. And I think all the women listening too, they want to know the secret.
I'll tell you the secrets. And it's not just relationships, it's in general from men are biologically designed. We're evolutionarily hardwired to seek status. Men talk about wanting money. You don't want money, you want power. You want power, you want status, you want the fast car. You don't care about the car. You want everyone to know you have the car and they can't have the car. Right. If everyone had a Lambo, you wouldn't want a Lambo. So every single thing we do is status driven to some degree.
It's true.
Meaning the female we are with has to add status to our lives in some form. If you want to keep your man happy, you need to think, how do I make my man look better to the world? How do I make him look better in front of other men?
So I am a
Man, you guys don't understand how important that message is. That if women understood what he's saying right here, they could suit the most high value man. Right? Because what doesn't look good is if other people see that my wife is working against me. What does that show? You know what I mean? Into the outer world, to the society. Right? People should see, and it should actually be the way that the wife is always on the side of the man and not causing revolt in the house. She's playing the yin role of things, right? She bolsters a man, right? So again, just like Andrew Tate said, the most powerful woman is the woman that makes the man's status look bigger. It's an uncomfortable truth, right? And of course, we can go into it and question status. Like that's a whole nother video and say, do people really even need status? Of course. But we're talking about, again, a biological, animal, sexual, innate, baseline, inherent instinct in man. So again, if a man subconsciously is seeking to be of higher value, wow, if a woman can accompany him and make Superman feel like Superman, by being the superwoman, there's nothing like that kind of power. That power is what changes the entire universe, is when a woman gets behind a man. I'm serious. And it's not because it's a subjugating thing, right? It's because the woman, this is the greatest gift, the greatest act of surrender. And in that humility comes great power. And that's what no one wants to talk about these days. It's crazy. So now we have Patrice Neal. He is the OG. I think he is my favorite comedian, just because he's so funny and he talks about things that are so important because no one wants to talk about them. That is why I love Patrice. Like I feel like if I was I don't know. I feel like I am really like near his personality. Like I don't know what his personality test and zodiac and all this bullshit is, but for me, like, I'd rather say what should not be said than pretend like I don't want to say it, right? I'd rather risk everyone else's judgments, criticisms, critical opinions, right? And say what needs to be said than get everyone's goodwill and not say what I wanted to say and what I saw deep down in the depths of the human psyche. So that is why this man is a pioneer.
Not her fault. See, there's a lot of things you have to understand, fellas out there. is that what women do when they do these things, when they pressure you to marry them and they pressure you to do what they do, it's not their fault. That's what the fuck they do. So you have to dismiss what she wants. Dismiss that whole thing. She wants to get married because that's what she wants to do anyway. But that's like them wanting to get married is like saying we want, I want to eat or I want to fucking wake up and look at something. That's what that marriage thing is to them. What you have to do is reestablish your shit. Now, one thing you have to do is you have to be able to take a L, and a L in the hood.
And just to be clear, he's not saying don't get married. He's saying that a woman's basic instinct is wanting to get married or wanting to be tied down and get settled and all these things, right? So he's saying until you know this woman is a suitable mate, you don't go for marriage. You see what I'm saying? So that you have to logically reason out and say why, or and be chivalrous about it, right? Why right now it's not the time for marriage. And right now he's saying, talking about taking L's, you have to be able to take an L.
It means you have to be not afraid to take a loss to get your point across. So when she says and gives you that ultimatum, if you look like you're sweating and you're blinking and you're nervous about her leaving, she will take advantage of that. You understand? So when she says, we're going to get...
Man, that is so important. Again, guys, if the woman knows that she has you by the balls, she's going to abuse that power. So a man cannot let anyone else have him by his balls because it's unnatural. That's some kind of a fetish. Yeah? And I'm not concerned with that.
Get married and you have to go, you know what, sweetie, and you don't get mad. See, that's what we have over women is that we are not as emotional as them. We rationalize much more than they do. So if she's going, I want to get married. Here's what you do. Ask her why. You understand what I'm saying? And she'll go just like this. Because she never had to think of the second option. That's your job, is to give them a second option to think. Well, I want to get married. Why? Because women are not born.
See what I just said there? Being a man is being a programmer. Meaning you have to, again, program into the game, marriage is not the only option. Right? That it can be, but why? What incentive would I have to be married? And right now, it's one of the worst times to be getting married for a man. And that's what we're seeing with like the Amber Heard trial with Johnny Depp and all this kind of stuff.
I would disagree with you,
You don't need to be. You don't need to have charisma. You don't need to figure it all out. You just need to have, men have developed a lot of different verbal skills that women haven't because you haven't had to. There's no need for you to have a conversational ability. And when you do have conversational ability, you force it on guys because you know that most women don't. So you kind of just fly over guys like a big goddamn hawk. And when you hunt, right, for men.
Wow. And I don't know if you guys have seen, I'm going to search it up real quick, but the third episode of Galadriel or Rings of Power. But she's in front of Numenor. Oh, wow. I think we're going to be able to see it. I love this.
No one met on the open sea.
Such a journey on an elf's behalf.
They paid that you were given this island.
An elf's behalf.
She says the elves gave you this island. This is men, right? So this is the men of Numenor, men and women of Numenor. And she's talking to like basically the authority of Numenor right now, right? But watch the woman and man dynamic.
This island. Surely you can spare a few planks and a rudder.
Our ancestors were not given anything. They paid for this isle with the blood of their kin.
What the elf means.
Then if blood be the price of passage, I will pay it. But one way or another, I will depart.
So she's threatening her. She's saying, one way or another, I'm going to escape your kingdom. So are you going to give me a ship or not? This is the woman's point of view, right? And it's not a bad thing. She has the right to be distressed, right? The elves did give these men, the Numenorians, this land in the west, right? So that's fine that she feels that way, but is it smart to threaten someone that has all power over you at this juncture? You see what I'm saying?
I welcome you to try.
I have no need of your welcome.
And you are quickly wearing out yours. Guards.
My friends.
My
It seems to me
friends.
that our leaving presents some complications. Perhaps it'd be better if we stay long enough, good queen, to give you and your advisors adequate time to weigh our request.
What a great businessman. What a pimp. Okay? This is what it means to be a pimp. Okay? That man is not pimping Galadriel in this movie. I understand that. But he was aware of what could happen if things got emotional. That things could get a lot more violent real quick. So instead, he goes to the logical and he says, hey, we have common interest here. Why don't we compromise, take some time to think about our own interests? This is what a businessman does. This is what a man's job is, clearly shown.
3 days, and the elf is to be restricted to palace grounds.
I will not be made a prisoner.
I would sooner kneecap a stallion than seek to imprison the mighty commander of the northern armies.
Good queen.
The Southlands will still be there in 3 days.
But will its people?
Look around you.
But wow, even Rings of Power is showing me you're on the right track, Eugene. So Patrice, let's keep going with Patrice.
What's our hunt? What are we hunting? We are hunting pussy, absolutely. So when you get it, she has to kind of keep doing something to keep you kind of chasing her. Like you can't, once she gives you the pussy, if you feel like you can get it anytime you want and any way you want, you lose a little bit of that luster to chase her. It's like we have to go hunt something. That's why we cheat, and that's why our cheating is not personal. Our cheating is just hunting. Now, what do you think?
Absolutely,
what do you think their hunt is? Because they're hunting for something too. What do you think that is?
So again, key thing. Men hunt pussy. That's what he said. So men are way more shallow when it comes to the sexual act. And they don't have to be, right? Like white tantra and all these things. You have to take that into account too. But I'm saying at a base inherent biological level, it is less important for a man when he's investing in the sexual act. I'm just speaking in logical terms. Whereas women are hunting for more than just dick, because women are not shallow, right? Women see more than the object, women do more than objectify, right? So she looks for other reasons of value outside of the dick. The dick is essentially the last thing the woman considers, right? But the man is the opposite. The man considers his bounty, his booty first, and then he discovers the backside of the woman. So Patrice O'Neal is showing you the front end intercourse versus the back end implications of intercourse, right? And intercourse meaning, yes, that, but also just business in general and spending time with each other in general.
The fuck knows, dude, because you know what? It changes every guy.
Well,
they're hunting your manhood.
Whatever she hunted, Eric, she got from you. She got what they call a comfort zone. She got her self-esteem is high, and she got security. A happy man means.
So again, so he was saying that the woman is not treating you well because she has what she hunted for, that he was basically giving too much. He was too accessible when the woman wasn't making him happy within the marriage, right? So there has to be a level of not being accessible for the woman to say, oh, he's worth my time. And I need to be worth his time. So there's mutual respect. That's why it is a man's duty to not be accessible if he isn't treated justly. Very important stuff, guys. I'm gonna go just maybe the first quarter, and next time I'll just do Patrice the rest.
Means a happy woman. It trickles down from the man. A happy woman don't mean shit. She don't know how to be happy outside of how a man makes her feel. That's why she goes, make me feel like a queen, make me feel like this and that and the other thing. Make me happy, because she really don't know. But a woman who decides that she's going to make a conscious effort to make her man happy, because men need more desire to make women happy than women have to have desire to make us happy, because we're very easy. We're easier to deal with than you are. Meaning,
easy to please a man. Man's happiness is very simple. Woman's happiness is complex, and it takes a lot more energy for a man to make a woman happy. So what he's saying is, if you make the man happy, the man is going to make you happy. He's going to reward you, right? An owner has a favorite dog, right? So like, this is just biology, is that if you treat a man right, he has to treat you right.
Meaning, if a motherfucker's sitting there playing, Xbox 360, and you say, I'm not gonna bother this motherfucker at all, I'm not gonna, he could be on it for 8 hours, and I'ma just exist in my own place for 8 hours until he wants to exist with me, that motherfucker right there, you just earned yourself 8 hours of happy. That motherfucker be like, sweetie, what do you need me to do? Because you left me alone for that 8 hours I want to be left alone. You were selling me what I wanted to buy. And at that particular time, I wanted to buy some fucking time not fucking with you. I wanted to buy some Xbox 360 time. And you gave it to me. So you know what? I'm going to figure out how to make you happy. I'm going to tune in to you, instead of tuning out because you trying to force me to spend time with you, or force me to love you, or force me to talk to you, or whatever the fuck women do, because you don't know how. Women's happiness is based.
So again, a woman that respects a man's space is so powerful, again, because the woman realizes that the man utilizes being alone as time for creativity, work, you know, whatever, right? That he's most productive usually when he's alone. But he does want to spend time with his family sometimes, of course, but he also has to go, and that's why he needs a man cave. And it's healthy for the psychology of a man. And so again, a woman wants to have a man with healthy psychology so she can be treated right. So if she's constantly nagging a man when a man needs space, it's not going to work, right? Women are much more naturally needy, much more emotional, right? Together, right? They look in terms of our emotions together, how we feel together. Man is more about what is done, what I am doing now. It's not as much about my attachments and my memories and my interactions with other people. It is, but not as much. Man has an ability to have this creation event outside of the relationship, and then bring it back, so that when he's passionate in his creation and his compassion, he brings that back to the woman, especially if the woman nurtures what the man does, nurtures the electricity of a man.
Based on a moment-to-moment thing. It's like
he just said that woman's happiness is based on a moment-to-moment feeling.
How come you don't buy me flowers? Now a guy, okay, who doesn't know how to guide a woman through like pure happiness, right? He goes, okay, now I'm gonna buy her flowers. Now she gets flowers for a second, and then she goes, and women don't have that editing system that we do. Women don't edit themselves. They don't go, man, I just asked this guy to make me happy last month, and he tried to make me happy, and now, like, I want more. They don't have that. They don't have that thing where they're trying to rationalize their fucking greed. They just go, we don't go to the movies. Then you take her to the movies. We don't go sailing at fucking Hamptons or something. Well, we'll go sailing in Hamptons. They're moment for moment. Guys' happiness is very clearly drawn out. We know, see, guys live a life of emptiness that we want to fill with bullshit. Women want to fill their emptiness with meaningful shit, like, you know, relationships, knowledge, spiritual fucking growth. Guys want to fucking play the hottest Madden 2007, nigga. It's a fulfillment for a minute. Men are trying to fill their voids on a superficial level. Women want growth. They feel this emptiness and they don't know how to deal with it. That's where it has to trickle down to a woman. A guy's happiness has to trickle down to a woman so he can guide her to understand what happiness is. It has to trickle down from you fellas. They live in this world of it's inappropriate, this ain't right, you shouldn't talk like this, you shouldn't be like this. Women live in this world of you shouldn't. You understand what I'm saying? Guys live in the world of you should. She hates.
Boom. And that's the father principle versus the mother principle, right? The mother says, you don't do this, don't do that. And the father says, go do it, risk it, go forward, push. You see what I'm saying? So it's these kinds of things. And again, a man's happiness, just like I was describing earlier with the spirit, the father falling into matter, right? The man falls in love with the material. That's why it seems like he's more shallow, right? But again, this is just a dualistic play. It's a man's role just to be like that, right? And then a woman is the opposite. So that's the thing. So a woman, how do you say? So he was saying here that, again, a woman doesn't know exactly what makes her happy. Her happiness is fleeting from moment to moment. Man's happiness is simple. That's why we need to get the simple thing done first, because with the simple man happy, that creates the stability of the woman being protected and happy in the future. If the relationship is wired in such a way where we're only trying to make the woman happy, the man, like, he's suffering, he's being tortured, he's a hostage. You see what I'm saying? So that's why he's saying, like, again, you have to, it has to trickle down from the man. Because just like I said earlier, it's the man is the cat, is the programmer. So if the man is in distress, the woman will never be truly, authentically happy and in a stable relationship. So the man has to be doing at his best. Then a woman can do her best as well. So the woman has to focus on empowering the man so that it comes back to her, if that makes sense. Reflecting the man's energy. Right? That's the reactive principle, reflecting it back to him. So these kinds of things. Maybe just one or two more. I don't know how long the next ones are.
Me, but she loves me, but she loves hating me, dude. Does that make sense?
Yes,
she
it
loves
does.
the passion that her hatred for me has. Tell you something. I tell my girl, if you ever in your life yell at another guy, you might as well go with him. If some guy you don't know evokes passion in you, that you yelling and screaming and you hate some other fucking dude, let me tell you, women's hatred is just like love. It's the same thing as passion. If girls aren't getting mad at me, right, for saying what I'm saying, this is useless show. When your girl gets like that and some guy in the streets can evoke, like,
passion,
anger in my girl, nigga, you know what I put my girl through to make her angry? Nigga, anger, and she loves me, so you don't give out your emotions frivolously. You gotta understand that.
Amen. Because giving out your emotions is giving out attachment. So again, woman, no one should be letting a woman get emotional over or angry over strangers. Like the woman, again, is like water, so she needs to not be being influenced and taking in and retending the memory of bad vibrations, right? Because if you keep putting her there, it's going to be a circular reflective cycle. So it's apparent, or it's necessary to take the woman outside of so-called bad vibratory area, so the water, which is the woman, is clear and isn't retaining all of this bad structure. So in that sense, he was saying, again, don't let the emotions, if she's going to have them, keep it in the family, right? The woman shouldn't be getting overly emotional about frivolous strangers, because then she'll develop a frivolous, strange, oftentimes exploitive relationship.
Ladies that are motherfucker, you're gonna love him before he loves you, because he's showing you all the best of himself. You're not. You're not showing the best of you. Before he gets pussy, it's him auditioning for pussy. So you'll get...
Well, again, real clear, nothing misogynistic here. You have to recognize that a man's front end offers needs to trump a lot more to get the attention and a chance to court the woman. A man is showing and displaying a lot more value in the front, in the beginning of the relationship, because he's saying we're auditioning to get in your panties, into your pants, right? So after that auditioning is through, that pussy power is now weakened, right? Because the man knows now that he can get it. So now the roles are reversed. The tables have turned after the sexual act. Is now the woman, in order to keep the man around, needs to please him with other things than sex. Because again, in the beginning, the man had to please the woman with other things than sex, even though the man was seeking for sex in the beginning. I hope that's real clear. So it's the art of the deal, art of the trade. And so we have to acknowledge that this is biologically true, even though we can build off of it, and it's not just about sex, and it can be a much more beautiful process, right? We have to understand that that is what is implied in all of our actions. Everything comes from reproduction. Everything comes from sex. Everything comes from creation. And the moment we disregard creation, which is sex, you disregard all of the other inherent hormonal biological activities. That's why he's saying a woman must fall in love with all of the values that a man has first, and then the man later, after getting that, because to a man, again, the sexual act isn't that big of a deal. After getting that sexual thing, now he's going to really get to know this woman. Because for a man, like I guess, good sex is the minimum, and then after that, it's like the wheels on a car. That's also what Patrice O'Neal says. You don't buy a car without wheels. But if a salesman came and say, hey, this car has real nice wheels, you should buy the car, that would be stupid. I'm not going to buy the car. I'm not going to have a relationship just because of the wheels, just because of sex. So the sexual chemistry is what fires and fuels the relationship. So again, that's a baseline. And then after that chemical requirement is met, and there's enough friction and tension between me and a female, from there, I really get to know the female, because the base minimum wage has been covered. That's how a man thinks, right? Whereas the woman is opposite. She needs to check off everything before sex. Because if she's sleeping with a man that is a red flag before sex, that's a huge risk. So just think about the mathematical quantities and trading and biological implications involved with this, right? This is not a shallow discussion.
Getting the best of a guy. So you're going to love him first. So when you start to love him, you're like, I want him to love me too. You don't have any skill. Once you go, wait a minute, I love this motherfucker. Let's start putting in effect, playing love, baby. You got to do that. You don't know how to. You just sit there and go, I love you. I love you. You should love me. Let me ask you a question, fellas. If you...
Okay, that's enough, Patrice. He's a wild man. So we'll do one whole thing for the rest of that video for Patrice, because he'll expose everything for us. I don't really even have to say anything if I let Patrice talk. So please look at these guys, not because they're comfortable to look at, but because precisely they are uncomfortable. And if people are saying something that is uncomfortable, you bet they probably are saying something you need to listen to. So I'll just end with that. I love you guys.